What's up, everyone? So doing another trade recap. It's Friday, January 26th. And the reason why I want to do this recap is because it shows that you're going to be met with adversity sometimes in trading. It's not about taking every single trade. It goes your way. You make thousands of dollars. The day is great. Life is amazing. You're going to have days sometimes where you're caught in a grind a little bit. And I took 3 total trades. The first trade was INTC. It reported earnings, had the gap down. And then I tried a short on Tesla. In my opinion, that Tesla trade was not a good setup. INTC was an okay setup. Tesla was not a good setup. And then my third and final trade, which got me back to green on the day, was a Netflix long. And I think that was a good setup. So 2 out of the 3 trades I took, I think are good setups. One of them was bad, which was the Tesla short. I paid the price and I lost money on that trade. And I actually lost money on the INTC trade, but I kept that stop tight. I used the candle high that I got in on, go quick or get out. So I managed the downside, got a nice move on Netflix to the upside, and that recovered the losses and a little more. Now let's quickly go through the technical. So this INTC, why was I watching it? Had the gap down on news, and look at this zone and this level right here. So 45.68 was a prior low. Also just in general, 46 down to about 45.50. And that was support, and now we're trading below it, so it's resistance. So a move higher into that level, I thought there could be a rejection and a downside move. And just looking at the 2-minute, we did have a rejection of this pre-market high. Also, this wick right here on this red candle wicked up into 45. I took the 45 rejection as it started to show some weakness, was going for the break of the lows. And then if it cleared out the lows, that's where I was going to take profits. It ended up getting above that prior candle high. Probably a premature stop, but I want to make sure that it goes quick or get out. I do not want to be loose and patient with this. So did get wicked out a little bit, eventually rolled over, took a small loss on the trade. Overall, I thought the setup was all right because that 45 rejection, and if we cleared out the lows, maybe a drop to pre-market low and any quick washout on INTC, and I would have taken profits. Now let's go to Tesla. So this Tesla setup, in my opinion, was not a good setup. I remember looking at a 15-minute chart and even telling the members of my community that, hey, I'm not really interested in Tesla unless this thing really breaks below pre-market low, stays below pre-market low, has some consolidation, and a possible 180 break, which is prior day low, and that would be a second day continuation. I did not listen to my own rules. I got caught in a setup that I don't think was good, and I lost not a lot, but a little bit of money on it, more than the INTC trade. This is what I went for. Tesla had a push off the open, eventually ended up rejecting and staying under pre-market high 186, 185. I ended up taking it on this candle right here, this 942 candle, wicked up to 185, started to show some weakness. I took the 185 rejection, also knowing that there was some weakness from the prior day. We rejected pre-market high. If we drop the lows, stay below the lows, maybe there was a move down into pre-market low. So it was just going for a momentum scalp to the downside. My stop was the high of the candle I got in on. We flipped over 185. So it didn't feel great. Not a huge loser. In my opinion, I do not think this was a good trade. I should have waited for the drop of the lows and then some sort of consolidation or maybe even a retest. So a break and a retest versus just chasing the low because it was still above pre-market low and prior day low. So it was still in prior day range, and I was going for a pattern in prior day range, and that's why I believe it didn't work very well. And then the last trade that I thought was a pretty good setup and got me back to green was Netflix. Now, why did I take Netflix? Because it had 2 green days in a row, but really just kind of looking for the break of the high of the earnings gap up. And we had a bit of a double top. If you look at the prior high here, right around 562, 563, it was trading above that in the pre-market. It did pull back a little bit, but just knowing that prior day high, 563.46, if we hold above that, it would be clearing out prior day range and has the possibility for continuation. It took a little bit for it to develop, but what happened? Pulled back a little bit off the open. We ended up holding support. A strong move to the upside. I did not chase this. I waited for the break and the retest of pre-market high to get long. So I had the push over pre-market high, pulled back. This wick right here, pull back into pre-market high 567. The moment I saw this wick, I ended up going long. I took the 570 calls, got a push over a new high, and I ended up selling into this move higher. It doesn't look like a big move, but that was about, a little over a 2-point move. And I'm just a scalper anyways. And the market started to kind of roll over a little bit. So on this push through new highs, took profits, and that got me to green on the day. But let's get to the good stuff. Enjoy the live trading. I'm going to try INTC 44. I want to see if this can drop that 44. That was a heck of a rejection. Can it drop this 44? Low a day is 43.80. I don't know how much range this is going to have, so not like I want to try to hold for a massive winner here. But if this thing can kind of stable that 44, drop the lows. If it plays games this 44, I will get out of this pretty quickly just because I don't want to be a part of back and forth. But that was a nasty rejection of 45. It's coming down into the lows. Lows is 43.80. If it drops the lows, just for a little scout, because these options are not very volatile, but 43.80 low. See if it drops those lows. Could bounce at it a little bit. 43.80 drop, looking for a little downside. I'll use the candle high. If this thing flips back over 44.08, I'll just get out of it. Okay, I'm out of that. I'm going to try Tesla. I'm going to use 185 as the guide, just because that was such a nasty rejection. We know that Tesla has been very weak. But this could chop around a little bit. I think that's worth a shot. And pre-market low is like 182.60s. Could have a little move. I mean, this could be a little choppy, but just trying to use that rejection of 186, 185. If it actually follows through, maybe it could fill the downside gap at 182.63. Knowing the weakness from the prior day, you know, big gap up, fail the gap up, have the move to the downside a little bit. Tesla just kind of retesting that low. I mean, this thing could chop a little bit, so I'm going to use that 185 as a guide. Don't love that this made a new low and is bouncing like that. But that was such a nasty rejection from 186, 185 pre-market high. Flips over this candle at 185. I'll just get out of it. All right, I'm going to get out of Tesla. All right, taking 2 trades, pretty quick. Now what I'm going to do is just sit back. Kind of makes sense why Tesla bounced. It was still in prior day range. I just thought it had the chance to potentially drop it and go just because of that nasty rejection from 186, 185. It still could do that, but now I think it's just letting it develop. Letting it develop. I'm going to try the 570s on Netflix. I like this little 567 pre-market high. I want to see if this can hold it and maybe have a little continuation. Could be a risky trade, but it's now above prior day high. It's above pre-market high. 566 to 564 is pretty big support. It's got to get going quick. If the market yanks, it's not going to help. But just looking for a little bit more upside. Took the 570s because that was a heck of a move off the lows, and it feels like if Netflix can clear out those highs, maybe a little continuation. High day is 568.10. See if Netflix wants to go. Holding that 567. Potential little bull flat continuation. It's got to go, though. Holding 567. Come on, Netflix. Can it make a new high? It's got to go. Nice 567 hold. Can it actually follow through? Come on, Netflix. Nice 567 hold. Pre-market high hold. High days 569.27. It's kind of messing around with this 569. Come on, get one more little pop. Come on, Netflix, let's go. Nice push. Just wanting to see if we can get a little push here. I don't like the SPY and QQQ are pulling back a little bit. Netflix is ripping. Come on, Netflix. All right, I'll take it into that new high. Nice trade. Nice trade. Right into 570. Whole number. That was a good setup right there. You want to know why that worked a little bit better? Break and hold of a level versus anticipating. But that got me, I was red. That got me to green. I'm now going to take a step back. In all reality, that Tesla downside trade, overly anticipating, was probably not a good setup. Otherwise, this would have been the one and done setup on Netflix. So really waiting for a level to hold versus trying to anticipate a little too much. Today, I was guilty of anticipating. INTC trade, I think, was okay. The Tesla trade downside was a little too aggressive.